This program is brought to you by Tab. We're on. Download the app today. What are you really gambling with?
Hello, I'm Caroline Searcy. Welcome to a new week of Thoroughbreds Are Go. Coming up this week, the Australian Stud and Stable Staff Awards rewarding workers in the racing and breeding industry. We focus in particular on the Northern Territory-based winner of the Thoroughbred Care and Welfare Award, Nicole Mutimer. Linda and Graham Huddy's Peachester Lodge is well known for breeding and racing successful thoroughbreds, but their success in rehoming them, along with international equestrian Gemma Creighton, is a great example of owners enjoying their racehorses away from the racetrack. And we catch up with former John O'Shea trained sprinter Lost and Running in Horse Heaven with Krissy Harris at Stonewall Equestrian Centre. That's all coming up on this week's Thoroughbreds Are Go. The 10th anniversary Australian Stud and Stable Awards were presented in a glittering ceremony on the Gold Coast thanks to Thoroughbred Breeders Australia, Racing Australia and Godolphin. And the award winners, who are the backbone of the industry around Australia, were there to celebrate and receive their awards.
The Administration and Ancillary Services Award, Emma Cully, Star Thoroughbreds.
The winner of the dedication to breeding is Nari Gonzalez.
Is Hazel Furtimer.
So congratulations to Finn McCarthy.
Andrew James, the Dedication to Racing Award is to Trudy Clark.
Hazel Furtier.
It is so incredibly important for the racing and breeding industries to recognise and celebrate the dedicated individuals that work tirelessly to improve aftercare outcomes for retired racehorses, and in turn play a critical role in ensuring the sustainability of the sport that we all love. So without further ado, the winner of the Thoroughbred Care and Welfare Award is Nicole Mutimer.
Congratulations winning the Thoroughbred Care and Welfare Award at the Australian Stud and Stable Staff Awards. It's incredible coming from the Northern Territory. It doesn't matter where you are in Australia, the aim is still the same, to look after these thoroughbreds after racing.
Yeah, absolutely. It was great tonight to see all the different sides of racing and to see the trainers and the track work riders and the breeders and the level of love and dedication and commitment that goes into producing those horses. So then it's fantastic to be on the other end of it, where we obviously have an obligation to be able to ensure that those horses are then equally as cared for and loved in their career after racing. So it's nice to be able to sort of finish that story.
Well, tell me about the work you're doing in the Northern Territory, because obviously the Darwin Turf Club, you're very much supported, but you're also supporting a lot of these horses and a lot of riders. I mean, they're great, aren't they, thoroughbreds, to teach another generation about riding and about the racing industry.
Yes, so Thoroughbred Racing NT has got some great initiatives going in the Northern Territory to help support retraining and rehoming horses off the track, and obviously supporting competition. It is definitely fueling that demand for off the track horses, which is great from our end of things, because we need more people to take those horses. So and then obviously where I come in is we do some retraining with horses, but also the education side of it to help educate people in how to get those horses from being race horses to competition horses.
It is a smaller jurisdiction, obviously, the Northern Territory, but in reality, it's a huge area that's covered. There are still large numbers of thoroughbreds involved in the racing industry up there.
Yes, so I travel all over the Northern Territory, including to Alice Springs. Alice Springs is a big thoroughbred town, so that's 1,500 k's from Darwin to Alice Springs. So there's a big area to cover. Lots of passionate thoroughbred owners all over the place. We see some horses that are, go out to cattle stations, and some of them are show jumping, and some of them are doing dressage. And so we sort of see all that diversity in the NT. What we like to do is, when we get those horses off the track, just find what their niche is. If their niche is to dressage, well, then we sort of, obviously train them in that field and rehome them to a rider that's doing dressage, or, some of them will be more suited to show jumping or show horse homes. So I think from my end of things is sort of identifying what that horse's niche is, what he's good at, what he enjoys, and that's where we try and rehome them to those sort of riders.
How's the equestrian side as far as taking on these horses? Is it big enough to take on these thoroughbreds? Yeah,
look, Darwin's, it is like a big country town, and I think that's its appeal probably. Yep. And even in the equestrian community, everybody sort of knows everybody, which is nice. We probably don't have the number of riders to take all the horses that finish racing. I know that quite a few of them kind of get sent to South Australia to retrainers because we don't have the enough riders to take them locally. But we're definitely seeing more and more thoroughbreds in our competition scene, and there's definitely been a bit of talk amongst my riders. So the competition riders about Magic Millions and coming over to Queensland for some of those big thoroughbred titles. So there's definitely a bit of hype about those sort of events. It's nice now that there's a lot more support for that kind of thing, and support for people who are taking horses off the track, a lot of incentives for them to get further education and training with their horses. So I think it makes it much easier to dream big when there's a whole racing industry behind that now.
A magnificent evening, and congratulations to all the winners. Wonderful to see the entire Australian industry coming together for the Stud and Stable Staff Awards. Coming up after the break on Thoroughbreds Go, Linda Huddy and Gemma Creighton rehoming their thoroughbreds into fantastic new careers. Originally from South Australia, and having worked with the great Bart Cummings and Colin Hayes, Linda Huddy and her husband Graham have a great reputation for rehoming their thoroughbreds off the racetrack. They've joined with outstanding equestrian Gemma Creighton to not only provide a great life for thoroughbreds off the track, but also inspire and teach young riders about taking on the breed.
And Shootout wins the derby, beat Desperado.
Great to see these scenes in racing.
At High Chaparral then.
Juno.
Second and third.
Go together like 1, 2, 3. here forever, you and me. Stay together like pen to paper. We're forever.
Linda, it's a fantastic show, isn't it? Thoroughbred Sport Horse Association, the National Championships. And it's so wonderful to see you with so many horses representing Peachester Lodge.
Oh, we just love it. Krissy does such a great job. Beautiful facilities and arena here. And it's a highlight of our year. We start picking the horses for next year as soon as we finish this year.
Yeah, well, Gemma Creighton, of course, your rider, your principal rider, and of course you have other members of the team, has brought 7 horses down in this incredible semi-trailer. Tell us about what it takes to get the horses to compete around the countryside from Queensland.
Well, she, when she first gets them, she assesses them. They don't all jump, they all don't like jumping, so Gem finds that out, and if she wants to not keep them, she'll find a great home for them. And then she'll start them off around Queensland at the smaller ag shows, gets them used to all the rides and things at Pittsworth and Toowoomba Royal, things like that. And then anything that's got a bit of a pop, yeah, she'll gradually, it's like a racehorse. You don't start them off in Group 1, so you start them off slow, build them up and, you know, get to their level. But it's great. It takes probably maybe a year with some of them to get them to jumping maybe up to a metre.
You've had a passion for your thoroughbreds for a long time. We see some of the horses competing here with your brand on their shoulder. There's one there by preferment, who of course you race, and he went to start in New Zealand. It's a real passion, isn't it, for these horses for their whole of life for you?
Oh, it's so important too, Caroline, that, I mean, I love it, and it's coming to a property like this. I mean, where else would you want to be on a day like this, here watching your horses? But they've got to have a life. Their racing life is such a small part of their whole life. So they've got to, well, I think it's important for them to have something else to do when they retire. And like I say, they don't all jump. Gemma really helps us out, and she's in show jumping, which is why we're mainly here. But Gemma will sell them on for Venters, Hack, just Pony Club, just to give them another life. And most of them do really well when they're off the track, out of the feed, and you know, they're not all hyper. No, so yeah, and it's great to get them out showcasing what they can do, and just giving owners like me, we can come and watch them and just love it, and you're so proud of them.
Jonker, Signore Fox and trekking. Jonker, Signore Fox the inside, flashing. Vega One, where's he come from? Vega One's got up and won.
And Vega One, another horse, you know, a huge earner of prize money on the racetrack. And what did you think today watching? I mean, he just missed out on a ribbon today, but he has more competition to go. But so exciting to see how well he jumps, and he's adapted to it perfectly.
He's just taken to it like a duck to water, and you can see he must be an intelligent horse, I think, because you can see him looking at everything, taking it all in, not getting upset. He's so calm, and he's just jumping amazing for a horse that, you know, is not long off the, I'm not 100% sure, but not long. No. And did so well on the track and got over, you know, multiple problems. And he's just, yeah, type of horse that just takes it all in and wants to do well, yeah, and seems to love it. So far so good with Vega. To
owners that are, you know, wanting to understand a bit more about it, just sort of explain what you feel when you're watching these horses. It's so great.
I suppose it's a bit like watching your children. I mean, that's a bit corny, I suppose, but yeah, you're so invested in them when they're racing, and then to see them, you know, coming here, being ridden by, well, most of our riders are quite young girls on, you know, thoroughbreds off the track, doing well. It's just, I don't know, it's hard to explain. I just love it.
Yeah. Because as much as winning Group 1s, I mean, you've had fair success on the racetrack.
That might be a bit more exciting. But, you know, as an industry, we need to invest in them off the track as well. If they've given you pleasure and fun on the track, or even if they haven't, you know, they try hard. Some can't run as fast as others. You know, you still got a ownership, a part of that horse that you should try and make sure when they're finished racing that they have a good life afterwards. You know, they haven't asked to be, you know, brought into the industry, and we've had pleasure out of them, and maybe made a bit of money out of them.
Yeah.
But, you know, they've also got to be looked after that.
Yeah, and
that's not the
generally-
end of it.
Not at all. And generally people think owners make a lot of money if you've had success, but you know firsthand what, I mean, you buy yearlings, you breed horses, you sell horses, you race them, you follow up like this. You're not making much money when you look at the cost going in.
It's hard to make money, so you've got to love it. And I guess you love the horse and you love to see them performing anywhere. And it gives the young girls that are riding them, or the young people, they love it too. Yeah. And so everyone gets enjoyment out of it.
And I've seen models overseas where there are payments you make when you buy into a horse that can go towards retraining for several months or whatever it might take. What do you think would be better for, we have a lot of syndicates and big groups of owners. How do those people ensure that the horse gets looked after? It's very hard to do, isn't it?
It is. I mean, I know a couple of trainers who charge just a little bit every bill, and they put that aside so when the horse retires, they can help them send it to someone, because when the retrainers get them, they might, as I say, they might have to keep them a year or 2 years before they can rehome them. So all a little bit helps, and I think if it's only a little bit every month, $10, you don't sort of notice that. So that would be something to look at. I know, poor old owners are paying. I'm an owner, so I know
what they're
paying out. But to just have that little bank that would help them at the end of their racing life, I think would be a big help. If someone's got a horse with our brand on that finds they can't look after it anymore, we'll take it back across TV. We put that on Insta every now and then.
And the sponsorship too, that's such an important thing. And I know obviously, it's very hard for Krissy given how, the costs involved in this. Prize money, the rugs, the sashes, everything is first class, isn't it? So anyone that wants to sort of be doing something for the industry and the horses after they've raced, this is one way of doing it, isn't it? To sponsor Thoroughbred Sport
really,
Horse.
and this weekend in our industry is getting to be so well known now, and so it's a great way to sponsor. You get tickets in the marquee, you can bring clients out, have a great day out. It's a really good way to be a sponsor.
McEwen's grabbed the lead from Star Virgo, light up the rink.
Gemma, it's been fantastic to see your whole troop here down from Queensland. Tell us a little bit about the horses you have here competing at the National Championships for Thoroughbred Sport Horse.
We love coming down for this show each year. As we finish one show, we look forward to getting ready for the next one down here. It's a lot of fun, and we're so passionate about our Thoroughbreds that we try and bring down a nice big team. And we've got a couple of ones that were quite good racehorses, and then a couple that were not very good racehorses, but they've all been quite good at their jumping at the moment. So we've got, I'm riding a horse called McEwen, which was very successful on the track for Peachester Lodge. Another Peachester Lodge horse, Irish Bandit, who goes by It's Bandito in the jumping world, and my husband Hugh rides him, and he has a lot of success in the jumping. We've got some of the kids on the younger horses, and they're going to be in the maiden team. So we've got Preferring Sealy, who's It's Preferred in the jumping ring. We've got Theo the Jet, who goes by It's Jet Set. One called Daring, he jumps as Daring Deeds, and he raced as Daring Deeds as well. They're all Peachester Lodge horses, and one called Tequila Slammer. And we've got a new one on the track, Vega 1. He wasn't a Peachester Lodge horse, but he was a very successful racehorse, and we're trying to give him the start he needs in his next career, so he's looking very promising, and hopefully he does something too.
Shortening him right up in front of the wall, and it's clear.
I grew up around the show competitions and stuff, obviously with the name Creighton as a last name. I've been in the industry a little while, so my father Guy Creighton did a couple of Olympics, and they were both on Thoroughbreds. Mum and Dad started to bring Thoroughbreds in for me off the track, and I started getting them going, and they went on to be my junior horses, my young rider horses, my first Grand Prix horses, my first World Cup horse. I had one that six-barred and a couple that six-barred and puissance very well. One jumped 2 metres for me, which was my personal highest, and yeah, he was one that brought through off the track and stuff. So yeah, we've always had a very, very strong connection to the Thoroughbreds. And then I was lucky enough to meet someone who's just as crazy about the Thoroughbreds as I was. This is Linda Huddy at an event, actually. I was on one of the Thoroughbreds, and she'd sponsored the highest placing Thoroughbred in the Grand Prix at Caboolture World Cup show, and I was lucky enough to get that, and she presented it in the presentation, and we met there, and the rest is history. We've just got along like a house on fire and both love the horses, and she started sending hers out, and we do the shows, we enjoy it, and it's heaps of fun. I found somebody with lots of thoroughbreds that just love them too much to see them just go anywhere and not get the right start, because they finish so early on in age, like they finish racing so young, so there's such a life after that you really want them to have a good one, and that's what both of us want, so we've worked towards that.
What's your advice to people taking on thoroughbreds?
They're so worldly before you get them, so that's definitely like a plus side of them, is they're not as spooky as your warm bloods, and they've seen a lot more and done a lot more. Your other side is they are quite lively, and they've got a bit of blood, which is what makes them run on the track, and you wouldn't have the breed any other way. So it's really important when you start them into their performance career is to try and manage that in a way that then they see they're not going out and getting nervous, and their first couple of outings are essential for that. So we try and just take them out, make it really relaxed and laid back, and they know they're not getting, because obviously they get the nerves up because they think they're going to the track and they think they're getting ready for their race, and there's no other way to start off, unfortunately, other than that, because that's been their life. So we just make sure those first couple of outings are very good experiences for them, very laid back. We just make sure they're nice and calm, and we sit through it and it doesn't worry us whatsoever, so which is the benefit of doing so many of them. Past that, then they're the quietest ones you get at the shows, because they have seen it, been there. Anybody that isn't able to ride full time, I think the thoroughbred breed is the way forward for them, because they can jump on without any work them down a little bit and off they go, and they're the same horse that you were on last week, where a lot of the warm bloods, they're big, powerful, and they've definitely got their pros to them as well, but if they don't get consistent work, they get very spooky and very strong, and if you're just jumping on and trying to have fun on the weekends, then your thoroughbreds, you can't go past them.
Yeah, and so for the rest of this weekend, you got all these horses, they're just competing all weekend, and you get to sit and watch and be part of it.
Yeah, well, they're in, Krissy has a teams event tomorrow and another one on Sunday, so we've got a team in both of those, and it's so much fun. We should get more. It would be great to have more teams, people sponsoring a team. Krissy will find the riders, so you don't have to have the riders. Yeah, I don't know, where else would you want to be? Truly a great inspiration to all owners about the enjoyment you can get following your racehorses off the track. Coming up on Thoroughbreds Go, the sprinting star, the tough as teak, lost and running, enjoying a great new life with Krissy Harris at Stonewall Equestrian. In Arrowfield studs, beyond the winning post, where are they now?
Lost and running, Mazu, lost and running. Lost and running's won the premiere.
Krissy, it's so fantastic you have lost and running here. Of course, the Cooks, we heard from Chris Cook just last week about how they wanted you to have this wonderful racehorse. I mean, he earned $4.3 million on the track. He was just an outstanding racehorse, raced in all the big sprints, obviously. And they love this horse, and it's so great he's with you. How do you find him now? You're transitioning him into a new life.
The funny part about it is I normally like to go and look at horses that I'm going to take on to make sure that they're, sound and that their legs are okay and they're not going to buck rear and try and kill me. Just because Chris and Frank are so good to us, we said, oh yeah, we'll just take him. And he arrived, and they won't mind me saying this, he's a really weird looking individual. He's got a great engine, he's got a massive big backside, and he slopes down in the front, so he's got a little bit lower in the wither than the backside, which makes his neck then a little bit ewe. And I just looked at him and thought, oh, how am I going to get this to jump? So I had a bit of a heads up from a couple of the guys that have ridden him on the track to say he's quite strong. So we trained him in a different way. We trained him loose rein, just so that he could learn to carry himself without needing our help. And when they've got a really big engine like that, the faster they go, the higher up in the wither they come. But then when we want to just slow canter, he needs to learn to do that himself. So we spent, we got him in November last year. We've spent sort of 6 months just getting him to understand that he can carry himself. He doesn't need us to carry himself. And then as soon as he could do that, we started pointing at poles. He has the biggest heart and the nicest personality. So I know why he's a winner. because he has just a beautiful brain.
And he's so popular too. I mean, he was such a lovely horse. He's by Perencanto, he's by Street Cry, the Sire of Winks. He's got some great blood through his veins, of course. He's the sort of horse, I think, that people followed. He you know, obviously was a superstar on the track, but probably could have won more money. He bumped into some absolute champions himself. But as an elite horse, what do you see in his brain and the way he behaves? Is there something different about him?
Oh, 100%. Very rarely do you get a horse with focus and work ethic, and he has both. He got a little bit upset yesterday when he very first heard the PA, and then we went straight to, interestingly enough, the more circles you do, the sillier they get because they think they're just starting to wait to go on the starting gate. So Aria Baker, who did a great job riding him for me, we put the cross rail down to just rails on the ground, and as soon as he went over the rail, he went, oh, second job. And he calmed down, we made the cross rail, made some nice practice fences, and in the ring he went.
And what's the plan for him now?
Look, I think he's really talented. We started out, because I'd broken my femur and wasn't doing any riding, Nikita Moore, who's been working for me for 7 years, so she started out riding him and she did some lovely prep on him. Aria's horse was lame for this show, so we threw Aria on, and Aria and Lost and Running, well, Andy as we call him, they're a great partnership. So I look, talent-wise, I think he could definitely be jumping 120, 130. Very, very talented, obviously great engine, so he's got lots of push off the floor. And a beautiful brain, like such a lovely horse.
Just love seeing such a popular horse as Lost and Running in such a fabulous new life. That's it for this edition of Thoroughbreds Go. Join me again next week as we catch up with another member of the famous Bennett show jumping family, Vicky Cowdroy, with some great insight into retraining racehorses and finding the right homes for each individual thoroughbred. That and much more. I'm Caroline Searcy. I look forward to seeing you then.
This program is brought to you by Tab. We're on. Download the app today. What are you really gambling with?